So this is maybe more the past perspective of the supply chain, where the focal company would focus on the tier 1 and maybe the tier 1 supplier and the tier 1 customer, and has little insights maybe on the tier 2 and tier N suppliers, same for the end customer. So for us as a bread manufacturer, for example, we would have an understanding where the flour is come from, we are manufacturing the bread, and we have an understanding where our bread is going. But what does technology do with us now? So technology will have an impact on this digital marketplaces, as announced before, or decentralized collaboration networks, where we collaborate closer together with the companies in our supply network. Therefore, we want to also understand how we now going to manage this network and what the benefit of this network are for us. So let's dive into this network perspective. For us here, the focal company, our company is here in the middle, and we have different kinds of customers here on the bottom, and we have different kinds of suppliers, and we also have our competitors or complementers to the left and right. And it will be maybe very interesting to understand where our competitor is actually buying their products, since this could be also a suitable for a supplier for us in case of supply chain breakdowns. So an understanding of the suppliers of our competitors is very interesting. However, it is very difficult because most of the time we actually don't have that much visibility into the supply chain. So for us, maybe the competitor's first tier supplier may be still visible, but for sure not the second tier supplier, which is also already questionable for us if we know our second tier supplier, but especially from the competitors we don't. So the supply net management perspective allows us to have a better understanding of where the products are coming from, where other companies are buying the products from, or where the products are going to. And this can have a significant influence on our supply risk management, for example. So looking into optimization and automation of procurement processes, we especially want to understand better how we can increase supply chain visibility. What does supply chain visibility mean in a sense? So we have here the organization of the supply network management here in the middle. We can use something like technology to increase supply chain transparency, visibility. We can focus therefore more on innovation and cost management. We can focus more on sustainability and therefore also or more on supply chain disruptions. So there are many benefits to have a good understanding of the supply network. At the end, we can introduce, for example, the sustainability development goals across our supply network and improve, therefore, or reduce the impact of our operating function on the environment. So, if we want to be ahead of competitors, we need to have supply network management skills, and these are one element of how we can optimize our activities and therefore optimize our supply chain performance. I want to give you one example here, where actually the understanding of the supply network helped in the bottleneck situation for the semiconductor industry. In the semiconductor industry, it's quite typical that we have producers of the chips, but and these producers of the chip can have customers like Apple, Dell, and so forth, but we don't know much about their supply chain structure, where we actually have more a focus on a single source. What happens in supply chain disruption times? So when the chain actually breaks, is that we need to have an understanding of what the products are coming from and where it's going to. And when we have a good supply network management strategy, we can have a good proactive and reactive risk management strategy. Proactive means we can prevent risk before they're happening, so we can reduce the possibility of the cause. And reactive means we can reduce the effect of the outcome of the disruption. So herefore, we need to identify when something is happening. For us, it's crucial to have a good understanding of the supply chain visibility. And here we can use technology. And technology comes from various directions. Technology to identify supply go from phone calls to RFID technology to smart pallets and so forth. So there are many that allows us to connect the physical world to the digital one in order to have a better insight. And then we can have multiple tools to work with these based on communication. At the end, we will be able to use analytic technologies to mitigate or assess the supply risk. And then after, we can use communication technologies to react, or tracking technologies to make sure we know everything we need to know. That will lead us to the fact that we have a stronger supply chain visibilities by, for example, the antecedents of people, process, and technology, where I was focusing on technology first. We are able to, we are moving towards the drivers of our idea of supply chain visibility, which includes, of course, risk management. And we can reduce the barriers in the sense of having a lack of competencies by training the people. And at the end, we're going to increase our capabilities and performance. Thus, this was a brief overview of how we can optimize our procurement processes even more by technology. And the next, thank you for listening for my module on digitalization of processes and the IT landscape. In the following, we will especially focus on the expertise project on data analytics and management in purchasing and supply management. I wish you fun with the rest of the part.